Hello. Hi everyone. Today we will continue to go over the Microsoft Azure 104 exam question bank. Next up is question 61. Question 61 is about an app. It's an app for Microsoft Azure functions. This app is used for processing Microsoft web app order entries. These web app orders are to be stored in Azure Queue Storage, and we need to review the following function app code to determine if its functionality is correct. This question here is actually a true or false question in essence. It's a true or false question. Even though it might look like a hot topic question, it's actually 4 true or false questions. So first of all, the first one, the code will log the time when the order is processed from the queue. Well, this is incorrect, because in the question, there is no mention of a logging feature. Second, does our processor function retry the same order up to 5 times? Including the first attempt, is this correct? Yes, this is correct. Third, when there are multiple orders in the queue, the system will fetch orders in batches and run multiple instances of the process orders function concurrently to handle them. This is also correct. Here, the queue trigger function supports batch pooling of messages and parallel processing. This is configured through our batch size setting. In a previous question, it was configured using max. That is, try count can be configured. Now, for the fourth point, the process orders function will input the orders into our Microsoft table storage, specifically into the orders table. This is also correct, because the code logic may include an operation to write data into storage. That is, to write into table storage, just like the cloud table binding shown here. So this is our question. Although this is considered a hot topic, in reality, it's actually 4 true or false questions where you make judgments based on the content from the image we just looked at above. Alright, next let's look at question 62. Question 62 is a drag and drop question. In this drag and drop question, you need to develop a solution for a hospital using our database. The default consistency level is set to strong, but you need to override the default level according to the scenario in order to balance latency and consistency. Here, our main focus is on this. So what does the content include? It includes several parts. First, what do we need to return? We need to return the patient's status, and for this, we must ensure strong consistency. The second part is returning health monitoring data, either the current or the previous version. For this, limited staleness is required, so you need to choose limited staleness. When you drag and drop here, you actually do it from the left side, right? For the first one, which is strong, you drag strong to the first empty slot. Then, for the second one, returning health monitoring data, you drag limited staleness to the second slot. For drag and drop questions, they're actually just multiple choice questions in a different format. The last one, which is obtaining the final billing data after the patient is discharged, requires a connection with eventual consistency. This is the drag and drop question for question 62. Next, let's take a look. The next one. Question 63 is about configuring a development environment for our team. We need to customize a Microsoft VM that includes the SDK and third-party components, and then save it for quick deployment in the future. So for this question, what do we need? We need to make a selection. First, the one above is where we need to choose our first option. This is our Microsoft PowerShell. What is its function here? In this context, what role does it play? It is used to automate the capture of VM images automatically capturing images. As for the second one, our Microsoft Blob Storage, what can it help with? It can help us store image files to achieve persistence. This is our question 63. As for question 64, here we are deploying a website from GitHub to Microsoft's web app. We need to run a static content generation script before the service starts. This is a multiple choice question. These are multiple choice questions. So first, let's take a look. There are a total of 4 options here, and in this case, our correct options should be B and D. Option B is to add our preview target run script in the project file. Option D is to create a .deployment file in the root directory to call the script. Both of these methods are actually valid. As for options A and C, their path names or naming conventions do not comply with Microsoft's cloud deployment standards, so A and C cannot be selected. That concludes our question 64. Next, we have question 65. Question 65 is another drag and drop question. Here's how this drag and drop question goes. In our scenario, we are performing cross-region replication of a Microsoft Azure Blob storage account, including change sources, and we need to copy data directly through the storage server. So what exactly do we need here? This question is like this. For this drag and drop question, we need to arrange the steps in the correct order. The requirement is to sort them correctly according to the sequence. So the very first step is, what do we need to do first? Right, we need to create our new template. So the first step is to create a new template. The new version is our create a new here. This is the first step. That's the first step. Now, for the second step, after creating the new template, what do we need to do next? Next, we need to export a resource manager template. Looking at the second step, it's about exporting JITs. This one. Step 2 is export. What about step 3? Well, we need to make some modifications. So what exactly do we need to modify? We need to update our template here. The main thing is to update the storage account name and the region in the template. That's the third step. For the fourth step, we need to use our template. So what do we do with the template? To be precise, we need to deploy the template to the target region. We do this by using the deploy option here to deploy the template to the region where we want to use it. The final step is to use this. We use AZ copy to copy the data, and that's the last step. Please note that for this question, it's not about choosing the correct answer, but rather about putting the actions on the left in the correct order. So let's sort them. The very first step is to create a new template deployment, and then the second step is to export our template. The third step with the resource manager template is this. We need to modify the template. The main thing to change is a storage account name and the region. Then the next step is here we deploy the template to a target region, and finally we use Azure Copy to transfer the data. That's our question 65. Be sure to pay attention to the order here. Just make sure you don't get the sequence wrong. So that's our question 65. For question 61 to 65, if you need the complete question bank, you can leave a comment below and get the most reliable question bank at the best price. That's all for today. Goodbye, everyone.